Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right. So, I made some phone calls after I finished making the therapy session here and got myself set up with my healthcare program officially. It was very, very interesting how that whole thing went. I was calling various programs at once trying to see if I could just do all the things that I need to do last minute for not only my mental health but for this situation. Very poor decision. I would ask everyone to please not ever put things off that way. Never do that. I did that because of my own anxieties, and every reason is that I did it. It was outside of wisdom. It was more so reactionary to my own head, which is why I made these therapy sessions in the first place, because I've struggled with my mental health my entire life and have never necessarily known what the issues were or that they were actually really issues to begin with, just that I struggled and struggled mightily. But I always understood that there was such thing as mental health concerns and just always was aware that there was help out there. So to bring myself to go out there and get it was always the challenge, or to be in a position to where I could consistently do it was a challenge. But I never thought it was irresponsible of me not to do it until now, or rather over the last couple of years. But it's more so important that I do it out of necessity at this point, because of circumstances that have just gotten out of hand. And that's okay. I know what coerced me into these circumstances. But there is still confusion nevertheless. And there's not just confusion, but also sadness and depression, behavioral circumstances, and deep anxieties. And of course, just natural stress that comes from circumstances such as these. But, I just come to you guys and say I'm finally happy to say that I got my healthcare situation in order. And that was the hurdle, was to be able to go to someone and say, okay, I'm covered, insured, I have it. So that's in place as of today, because as I was calling various things, I had received a phone call from a lady that was essentially saying, she was there to answer some questions, or rather ask me some questions in regards to what would needed to be chosen for my health care. And within that moment, I was sitting there with my healthcare paperwork in front of me, using it to write down other numbers that was needed for my circumstances. And one of the things that I was going to do was call her, or someone obviously, to get that done. And so as I'm telling her this, the phone hangs up. And I'm like, wait, no. Like, this is literally like the perfect thing, and is gone. So at that point, I'm like, all right, let me even stop what I'm doing. Because at that time, she called me while I was on the other line with someone else. But it wasn't yet a person, it was an automated system. So I'm like, all right, that's a sign for me to just take the proper steps necessary. There's no sense in calling different outpatient centers and different things if you're not, locked in with your insurance. So let me just do that. That was a sign for me to get over there and call her, because I had somebody call me maybe a week ago. Same exact thing happened. As he was asking me my birthday, the phone hung up. So I'm like, what the heck is that about? I don't know what it is about, but I'm going to call them back and be proactive in this situation. And that's really where I'm lacking, is the ability to be consistent in being proactive in situations like that, which is why a lot of things get neglected. And so as I perceive myself as someone who never really needed help, you know what I mean? As opposed to somebody who could use it, of course, but not necessarily to the point where I'm out of control. And so the behavior awareness was only partial, I would say. Though I'm self-aware, the need to identify the behavior as something that would need to be managed or challenged in whatever way was missing, because of my own isolation and my lack of feedback in any way. just allowing myself to stay in my own space, so to speak. And I think that was enabling me to be safe and away from what otherwise would make me anxious. And so as I did a lot of studying in life, the one thing I didn't really study much on was behavior and anxieties and different mental disorders. Though I had these concerns, it wasn't a particular topic that was interesting to me, like basketball or whatever, what have you. Usually basketball more so than anything. But nevertheless, as I'm starting to read about it, I'm realizing that, as they say, the warning signs of various different mental health concerns, that, signs that people are going through disorders, I look and realize I check off most of the boxes for a lot of the anxiety disorders, or a lot of them. I check off the boxes for just about all of them. Severe case too. And I'm identifying, I'm like, yo, I am like the very worst version of some of these anxiety disorders, because I self-isolate and then make decisions dependent on that self-isolation. And to know that, but to not see it as a bubble from which mental health could be identified, never really gave me an understanding that I was actually, behaving in a way that would make it so that it's most important that I get help. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's an identification of alarm, I guess is what I can say. To know I'm not well, but then to also know that there is a identification process for my, I guess you could say, my characteristics, just day to day. And then I realize the fullness of my isolation. Then I look at the different pockets at a time in my past in isolation, and I realize I've displayed this behavior that has been a severe case of anxiety disorder. And so it's like, okay, well, I know this because obviously I've started this process with this therapy session looking for answers. But then it's almost like I found them. It's like, okay, I found the answers. We're near 300, right? I guess this is entry 298 or something. I guess, like I said, we made a breakthrough in regards to self-identification in regards to this process. Too bad it came at the last minute, and I don't know if I can help myself with this information. But yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. I think I have a severe case of anxiety disorder, or maybe something that has that attached to it. There's more, though. I'm sure there's more, so much more. And so what is confusing, I guess, is to me is, why am I confident? Maybe that's part of being crazy, right? You turn on the camera to say whatever you want. That makes it make sense to me. But I think, all in all, I've also made sense in speaking. You know what I mean? When I speak to others, I'm not just speaking gibberish a lot of the time, even though I do often say the wrong word here and there, or repeat the same content over and over again, or get a little manic when I'm talking about something as if I'm a bit more angry than I actually feel. But my emotions are off just the same, not having cried for long periods of time in this life and then being able to pick up and finally cry once again. In fact, I cried right before I turned on this camera right here, listening to my video that I made previous to that. I don't know why, but I've been crying a lot listening to these therapy sessions, the last two. I guess it's just what it is. You've reached a point where everything is just really tough, and you're scared because you know that it's going to get tougher and that you're going to be less comfortable and more anxious. And anxiety is what you're trying to manage in the first place. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot, you know what I'm saying? But it's real. And I've been through real before, and it's just a long life of inner struggles, and you hope that you can win, but you also see so many people who don't, and you just want to believe in God because you want to be an example that you can show you can do it. But at the same time, it's like you wake up and realize, yo, that's not the only thing that was going on here. Yes, I was mentally ill, but I was also fighting for something. Yes, I was mentally ill, and I knew that to a degree. What I didn't know is how much pain I'd put myself through trying to do it. how far away I'd be from being able to reach my dreams when it got the worst at the bottom of the barrel like it is right now. Just how far away from successful I would be. And it's okay, because I know what I'm up against would force it that way. In fact, if not for me being here just the same, they have more intent on destroying it. Praise God for the apes, man. I tell you, a real resilient bunch. I just hope most of them are dealing with a full deck of cards, man. Hope none of their screws are loose like mine. You know, I used to look and identify people and say those type of terms and never really thought of myself that way at all. In fact, I pretty much could function very well while identifying them. But what is very well? I think I was probably hiding something inside of myself at that time, putting a towel around my chest to keep people from seeing my man boobs or what have you. Just various things that I look back on and realize I was having those anxiety situations and circumstances when I was a child. This same anxiety I'm feeling right now, I felt as a little kid. I've been suffering from this in my whole entire life. And I persevered so much, you would be amazed at how many times I felt this deep anxiety that I'm feeling right now and got on stage and performed or walked out there and told the truth about something I did wrong, or received the news that a friend of mine had passed away. So many different times I felt this here that I'm feeling right now. That's why I can identify and look back on them all the times. I remember there was this time my boy, I'd gotten the news back in 1993. My boy, Damian Rodney, rest in peace to him. I probably mentioned him more than once on these therapy sessions. I just remember the real hurt that came from finally having that settle into my gut that night. I was laying in bed and the TV was still on. I don't know if mom was still up or watching something or what, but I just felt this deep anxiety in my chest, and it built up through my neck and it built up into my eyes, and I began to cry hard. Like it was a very deep agony. And I look back on it and I just understand that was always anxiety. That was always grief. That was always whatever this is that I'm dealing with now. Just reacting to whatever the realities was of my circumstance. For that, it was losing my friend, the very first time I had really experienced bereavement, I guess would be the word to say. And it's just like anything else. I was 9 years old, so I could barely process that. But nevertheless, I just remember that feeling because it's like that spirit has come to return again. It's dark. It's real dark, man. And the sad thing is, you get to wondering, like, what is its purpose but to keep me feeling as if I can't do nothing but feel it? There has to be some reaction to that. There has to be some prayer or something that has to offset that. That has to be met with something. You know what I mean? And so as I think about my friend who's going through bereavement recently, or my family who's going through bereavement now, I just think about the prayers that I often pray nowadays about healing that. And now realizing I have anxiety, and it's like, there's help for me. That's where the blessing is. I'm praying for the blessing. Now I need to get that blessing in my life. I got to start exposing myself to the help that may be available. And look, there were a lot of things said on this camera that I may be able to chalk off as just not being okay. But there were many things that I said that I think I would have said no matter what mindset I was in. And this is the only mindset I've ever been. So we will not shake away from what I've said just because I've realized that I'm ill. I was ill from the beginning, which is why these were called therapy sessions. I don't walk away from this situation thinking I don't have to stand on my words. I'm cognizant and I can see clearly in a lot of situations, if not, simply not my own. But nevertheless, there were things that I'd love to reassess. most of which I probably won't even take the time to look back and listen to. Neither will most of you. But nevertheless, I don't discredit my word based on my current anxieties. Anxiety is something that doesn't have me looking at things as if they are not there, as it pertains to things that I'm looking at out there. In fact, I can't even hardly hide from the truth in here. I think the reality is, I, excuse me, am even more proud of myself now than I was before I made the video previous to when I was telling you I was proud of myself then. It's because I keep taking steps after leaving this camera to do things to help myself. I either walk away hurt for what's happened, but I'll come back and say I did this, or come back and say God help me with that, or I prayed about this. I'm gonna make it through this, I believe, because, well, I've been through worse, and this ain't a new feeling. And for the first time, I know I need help and deserve it. And it ain't that far away, and I got opportunities now to really get answers for the first time in my life. And maybe some of these anxious feelings never go away. Maybe they're gonna want to give me the Zoloft that I so desperately would rather not have. I don't think that's an answer for me. I think I know exactly what I need, you guys. It's a combination of several things. Solutions to all of the problems that I'm going through that would otherwise provide me stress, which is money. I need money. And the next thing I need is just the ability to create, be where I need to be in a space, preferably a comfortable one, where I can just canvas whatever it is that I'm doing to whatever degree possible, just like any other artist would want. Somewhere where I can play some music, enjoy myself to whatever good energy I could provide myself, hopefully with good habits that maybe I don't have right now. I think I need family, just, community, whatever the case may be. People to trust, people that I can be trustworthy toward, people I can pray for, people who can pray for me, whatever the case may be. To be able to get used to being around people again like I was when I was a child going to the children's club, when being around people was not a thing at all. Only when something would happen like what happened with Damien would I feel any actual fear or sadness. And that's the key to understanding this. It goes in and out, in and out. The anxiety there's no consistency. It pulses, if anything. Just like I said earlier in a previous video, I was in the vibe of working. That's exactly how it goes. It's just vibes. They come and go, come and go. I don't know what that's about, man. I struggle all my life, I guess, just to be this person. Just to be this guy. And if I have the ability to show my highest creative processes, if I could show people exactly what it is that makes me so anxious, you would see that it's probably a lot there that would make up for why I struggle so much in here. I look at people who are really, really, accomplished in that way, who have these type of anxieties but are super famous, super talented and all this. I think we should take those people and then look at others who haven't been exposed to any applause or haven't been exposed to any success but do have anxieties. They need to find out what it is that they do. What is it that you do that is also attached to that massive struggle that you have? Because I promise you, there's something there. If you haven't already figured it out, that anxiety's antithesis is talent, creativity, or some type of thing. It's an ambition that has to be unlocked within that person. That's what I've learned. And so that's why I want people to understand. I look at people like the Kanye West and how much he struggles with his mind. And then I look at what he can do with music, what he can do with his fashion, look what he can do with just our minds when he rants. And I'm like, that's what it is, y'all. He struggles deeply, and then he can show what it gives him the other way. And there's so many different artists that struggle like this. I'm just one of them, literally one of them. So many of them have these problems, man. That's why they act so different. People wonder why they act so different, dude. That's why they're able to showcase their talent, because that's what it gives them too. It takes away from them the peace that they have to just walk around and just like be normal as you are. But it gives to them that thing that you can't do at all. All that awesome talent, yeah, that's what they have. It's their burden and their gift for how they take on the earth. So I see it in all of these different artists, especially musical ones. I see it because I'm on that same frequency. And you know, the struggle is that you just don't have enough time to create. Every time I feel this anxious, I just need to be doing something creative. This is that. This channel gives me that. It's just another canvas, no different than the art that I do with the paper or blending music. Excuse me. This gives me the outlet to create. I hope that I've given you guys some insight as to how to treat your neighbor, how to look for the best in people. That's what my grandmother tried to instill in me, to look for the great in people, even when they let you down, even when you can't see it when they speak. As we talked about in that previous video with the lady with the big dog that my mom told me to just keep saying hi to. Eventually she was nice enough to say hi back, and then was actually initiating contact and all of that. Same thing, same lesson, same here. See those anxiety people, as I call them that. See them for who they are, though. Not just see them, but find out what their superpower is, so to speak. You might be surprised to find out they're a musical genius or an artistic genius or some type of mind, some type of beautiful mind. Because a lot of those type of people, they really struggle, man. The world is hard for them because they see so many different things. Because they have to deal with so much inside. It's like, it's hard for them to deal without some type of attachment with a drug or something that makes them feel better or whatever. I don't know. But it just doesn't come natural to them. They're not on the frequency that allows them to just walk amongst this thing that we walk amongst and just be all right. Like y'all might. So that's how I feel about it. I just hope that I could give y'all an idea. Pay attention to the people who are most silent. Not because they're hiding something or necessarily whatever. It's just because of the unknown. Sometimes they just need to be left alone. But sometimes they need to be watched. You know? We've seen enough of that in this life. Don't bully the dude wearing all black. For goodness sake, man. There's kids in these schools. Stop. Leave that kid alone. Treat that person with respect. Have a able-bodied ear when they're around, bro. And for the idiots that are trying to clown them, put that energy down. Back those guys up. See to it that those guys have the support that they always complain about in their memoirs. I heard every last one of them. They were neglected. They were bullied. They were treated funny, looked at funny. The world they took on treated them bad. And every day it got worse and worse till they just lost sight of what they needed to do to keep caring about stuff. And it went into other places. It got darker, and they just went wherever they went with it. But every time they left us the little nugget, they bullied me. They ain't listened to me. They hated me. Or something that was incoherent but could have been listened to, or at least pointed out so they could have been caged before they did what they didn't need to do. It always starts with somebody neglecting their head or toying with their head or allowing people who didn't have wisdom in their minds to toy with their heads while you did nothing, or where you held your camera instead. And every time they saw that footage that you showed us, it gave them an idea to go do whatever they did. And the beat keeps going on. And it's examples. They're not empty, man. Just like the nuggets they leave behind and the things that they tell us that motivate them each time is not to be neglected. They wanted things to be better, even in the midst of their chaos. They demonstrated this horror so you would stop treating them this way, so that you would create more avenues for them to be seen before they got to that point. I heard them. I didn't just see what they did. I heard what they said. Because at the end of the day, I dealt with my head. Maybe not in the same way. I never wanted to do anything to anyone else. Not even myself. I want to change things. That's how my crazy work, as you can see. But it didn't mean I was any different in any other way. It's just about being in your own personal hell until you can't take it no more at the end of the day. And however you go about it. I was fortunate enough to have an outlet with a loving God and a Christ that I turned to for his energy. Not the example what they told me of him, but the nice guy that walked around with everybody, was kind till the end. The kindness is the part that I leaned into, and the compassion was what it is that I thought was the wisdom. And from there, I've created my own way to cope with my anxiety and my own inner struggles or what have you. And I tell you, man, it just brings me back to trying to see people that you just neglect. Even me, in my own little cultures, there are people that I don't see. I guarantee you, I ain't no better. It's not about that. It's about people who can see more than I, taking what I'm saying and applying it to what they see and treating people better overall. We could stop some of these things that are happening out here. And it ain't just in the laws. It ain't just in the confiscation of guns. It's in the human nature of treating people properly and not neglecting one another or allowing others to do so. You're going to save lives that way. I promise you that. That's where my head went. And I hope that I'm still of service to the Lord as I struggle. And I hope that I land on my feet, or at least get a warm place to do this somewhere else. I don't know how the world handles things that are much worse than this. But it gives me the idea to fathom to pray for them. And I know people are probably sick of the prayer. Stop this. There's a lot of people who are not with it. But I have good wishes for people who are displaced from their home. That's what I'm saying to you. People who are ripped away from their homes with tornadoes and, natural disasters of many kinds. Or people who don't have a home. Obviously, people who are going through what I'm going through, getting evicted. Whether it to be because they lost their job or mental illness or just because they can't get it together. Whatever it may be. Sometimes people just have the wrong habits, man. They come from the wrong households, what have you. It just doesn't work out for them. Maybe they tried something, didn't work. I don't know. The point is, I got good energy for those people. I hope for within my current concerns that I can identify their needs and pray for those right now. That's my intention. I don't think it's always about doing it the traditional way. God knows I'm talking to him and to the people who would listen and agree with what we're saying. I think I can do more when I get on my feet. Now that I can say that I've gone through a specific kind of thing, maybe I can put myself in a position to help educate people on how not to make the mistake I've made, or how not to fall into the places of neglect that I found myself falling into with my mental health. How to be more patient with just the process of things. I think that deterred me in a way. How difficult things used to be. Trying to apply for Medicare and how to how difficult it used to be to become a part of this, the stock market or what have you in the past. It deterred me from ever wanting to try. And so as things got more simplified, I never became the wiser and stayed away from things that would otherwise make my life more easier because of my memory of them being so difficult in the past. That's part of the sickness, I suppose, trying to stay away from things because of my anxiety, identifying things being so difficult, just to not help myself need them in the end. But it's justifiable, I believe. Looking at it and how I've struggled, it's only God that kept me going, man. And the wisdom in my heart that I can help somebody with these different things that are just there for me to say. This, the Spirit of God that's been in me my whole life, to whatever degree, through my sin, that I say to whatever degree. Because I'm not here to tell you guys I'm an angel or that any of this makes any sense. How I can feel like I have answers but still display the worst examples through my own life and how I'm living. I just think the Lord wanted me to be who I am, and it'll go the way it's supposed to go, and maybe I'll be a legend. I smile at the idea of that because I don't even know what that means, I see so many people displaying greatness and I just struggle every day, but I'm like, and I say this humbly, but I'll say I'm not stupid. Referring to, I'm looking at all this stuff the Lord has me doing in the presence of my anxiety. I'm like, that ain't normal. Like none of the production, none of this. And so I just have to hold my confidence to say He's the reason why I'm able to do things He tells me to say and then it work out only but so far this way is because He's made me a certain way. So if He's tilting my spirit a certain way, it's because He obviously wants me to create a certain thing or be a part of a certain tone going forward in my personality. But I don't want to take on so much pain that I'm bitter, or that I have so much resentment for my own choices that I'm confused about who to blame or what have you. None of that is conducive. None of that's positive, I don't believe. So I hope that's what this will be. Me leaving it behind so that it never becomes that. Me leaving these words here, all of them, in prayer and in fear. And that's why I try to welcome everybody here, because that's really what prayer is to me. The whole thing is prayer if I'm speaking in spirit. Although I love doing the in Jesus' name aspect of it to incorporate everyone, it's harder to get people to listen when you incorporate a certain specific prayer, type of prayer. It's like it's hard to get people to listen, it's hard to see your love in that, I'd imagine. For some. But I assure you, I don't want to exclude anyone when I ask for help or healing and all these different things that I ask for. And I want for self, I want for many more. Because that's really what it's all about, incorporation of peace. If we can find a way to love ourselves, I think we'll find a way to get over the things that ail us. That's why I'm confident I'll be able to absorb good things going forward. Even if I feel great anxiety and depression, it doesn't necessarily mean I have to take away from the practices of taking care of myself or all of these different things, including prayer, that I now believe will keep me strong. So I got to keep these practices no matter where I land. So the question is, what's the next move for myself? How can I come back here being even more proud next time? The anxiety weighs strong, but I have faith, a great deal of faith that somebody on the other end of this video, maybe down the road, might be able to do something for me that'll help me out of this hole. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not. But that's part of the hope too, man. The not necessarily the handout, because that's not the energy that I'm talking about. but the networking, so to speak. It's more like that. It's like, be aware of the BDF, because I'm a unique person in a unique space, and there's nothing like me on the internet. There's nothing like me out there. You know? That's all I'm really saying about myself. I'm providing something unique, I think, to the game. But either way, I think that everybody provides something unique to the game, even if they're a carbon copy of someone else, NPCs or what have you. You occupy your space. You dig? Don't let nobody tell you just because you're the carbon copy of somebody else that you don't occupy your space. That copy's over there. He ain't on top of you. You feel me? You over here, he over there. Don't let them tell you you're not yourself. Just because they can't behold who you are, or they can't wrap their mind around why you're so demonstrative about what you're on. Or even me, if I don't like what you're on. I don't think that's the point at all. I think a lot of times people miss many points trying to make it all about themselves too. That's also missing the point. That balance out of magic, but we could be confident in ourselves. I think that's where the goodness comes in. It's the confidence and not let people play with your name type of stuff. You know, having the respect about yourself and demanding that respect is the same. I think it's to be respected. So long as you're standing on the right things and have the right perspectives. But I don't know what the right perspectives would be, so I'm not going to be the judge of that. I'll let that be. But either way, I'm stalling at this point. I'm pretty sure I got to do something, you know. I got a phone call that's coming my way either way. 12, Chase, they got to fork over my dough. Ain't no way around that. I don't know what Chase is on, but they're going to be chased down. Get mine. Because I'm being chased down. And I think that's how that works, right? It's just compounding pressure from other people. I'm pretty sure people I owe are being pressed to pay somebody they owe at all times. I mean, it's just how it works. And that's why it hurts, because I had betrayed that, thinking I can pay it all back in the back end. And you've heard this a million times today. But it hurts a million times more to say. So it is what it is, man. I'm healing. But I don't know if I'm getting any closer to something that won't hurt me even more, which is really, really tough. See, trying to heal while knowing something's about to crush you, it's like, well, I mean, how much healing is really necessary when the next crushing thing is coming? So, how about this? Lord God, how about whatever you decide to do, make it not so punishing? Take into account the prayers I've prayed for not only myself, but for other ones when I need it the most. And may those others too receive what they need when they need it the most, so that we can all achieve your grace and mercy together. Amen. How about that? Those are the type of things you pray for when you're going through it and you feel a little better. It's like, see, I don't even know if it works or not for those who don't believe, but for me, it's going to work on my head, because it allows me to at least have something to hope for when the anxiety's coming down on my head about real life things. You know, when you're looking up and you're saying, okay, this is going to get worse. It's like, hold up. I got a defense for that. How about this interaction? How about this declaration of truth? How about this reach out to something that I think is more powerful than the problem itself? And if something good happens, boom. Now I'm not sitting here thinking about myself. I'm thinking about an entity that's thinking about everyone else. And that makes me even more unselfish. I'm thanking something greater than me for doing something. And that is the essence of what will power me to keep moving. Because even if it becomes too much, I won't perceive it as such and push forward. That is what God can do for me, especially in the presence of deadlines and anxieties and different things. Yeah, man. Tough times make for tough people. And I look forward to being much tougher, because I've been weakened for a long time, as you can see. Even this past weekend, I was sitting here thinking about how much I was going to be dreading everything that leads up to this thing. And what I didn't realize is that God was going to be with me the whole time, making me as useful as I could possibly be with my mind. on this camera right here, or even then when I put it down and picking up the phone again to call people and try to get some answers from my head that should have been done a long time ago. But it was done on time today. This was the time, because every day I ask him for the right place at the right time in my right mind, and all these different declarations that I've said throughout this process. So when I go where I go, I'll be where I need to be, and that's what I have to hang my hat on, I believe. And for you, I hope for the same. I want you to think that too, and believe that too, and declare that too. Maybe you can even avoid some things because of that declaration. I'd like to think that. Some bad things, rather, not the things that you shouldn't. But like, whatever. Sometimes I think maybe there was some preventative measures. Maybe it was something I could have put out there that could have stopped that from happening, but it's too late now, because it's not too late at this now, though. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we got to look at things. Put out the prayer necessary to protect the people that you love right now. Put out the prayer necessary to protect a time where you don't necessarily even know if you'll have the strength to ask for that at that time. Type of prayer. That's the type of thing I can suggest out there. When we pray for the unborn babies, the ones that you're gonna love so much, but for whatever reason won't be around as much. But you can't fathom that now, because that's not your world. But there will be a time where that might be the case. Or maybe you can pray a prayer that make it so that it's not. Fathom that. But these are the things that I think we can do. We can suggest to one another if we get closer to God, get close to one another, get closer to these understandings, that such things may be possible. My mother told me I could move mountains with my prayers. So if I get creative, we could do a lot more than that. And that's what I believe I can do with my time while I'm sitting here reeling in my anxiety. Not lay down and do nothing, but lay down and talk to y'all. See how I'm laying down? This is depression. But in the past, when I was a child, laying down meant saying things to myself that were no good, that I wouldn't dare repeat now for the sake of not. But you get the point. You just roll over, go to sleep, wake up, play video games, roll over, go to sleep, wake up, be sad. Feel anxiety anytime you had to go out, but know that you had to go out, because if you didn't, you were going to argue with your mama. You didn't want to argue with her for no reason. So it was like, all right, let me face the anxiety until you couldn't no more. Just like now, with working to a point, and then you just couldn't no more. I didn't identify the pairings of the two behaviors, but it was the same exact thing. Just get to a point you couldn't do it no more. Do it. Can't. I'm sorry, you reached the red. I gotta stop. And that's what it was back then. Just now identifying it now. You go to school, event. Can't go no more. It's too much for my head. Until vibe again. We're fine. All right. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the road, I'm fine. For a time until event. Back in isolation, stay there for about a year. This is a pattern. Pattern. All the way up until now. Nothing new, man. And that's when I realized, without a doubt, that it's time to get help. It's like, whoa, hold on. I gotta put an end to this. Yes, it took this finally to understand it, and it's gonna suck getting out of it, but it's sure gonna suck staying in this, especially now that I know exactly what's wrong. Now I'm without any excuse, because I'm very much in a space where I am calling to get help. I do believe I need help. It is urgent. Yeah, I was sitting there talking to myself in regards to, is it urgent? So I need urgent care? Because I'm not going through any specific event like, sitting here thinking about nothing and, hurting myself. And I'm not like that. But like, is it time to call some 3-number number? You know what I'm saying? You hurry, get me type. Nah, it's not. But then when you look at the behavior and you see how long it's been compounding, it's like it's never not a good time to address your behavior when you know it's as bad as mine has always been. You see what I'm saying? It's like, no, I've been on a 3-number call situation for mental health since I was 3 years old. Since I was 3 years old. So that's what I've come to understand. It's like, yo, my entire conscious mind has been suffering. The entire duration of my childhood felt just like this. Even my little bitty days. Little elementary, preschool, all that. Felt like this. Anxiety, deep fear. It's like, yo, I've been suffering from this my whole life, for real? Just barely kind of understanding it for the fullness of what it is. Right here and now, right in front of you guys, over the last 2 hours, basically. These last 2 therapy sessions, basically. So now it's like, how much help do I really need, yo? Obviously, probably a lot. Deep isolation periods of years at a time. It's like, whoa, self-realization to the max. Praise God. You know, I love this person, but man, I'd love to stop being like that, you know? I don't want to stop being this person, but I do want to stop. Put it like this. Anyone else with these behavioral traits, I don't know how they can hold down some of the things that I would love to take on, just in general. I would never speak down on any of us, but it just don't seem like it makes any sense. Until you get this stuff completely under control, you know? Why would you even think you should want some of those things? Periods at a time, months at a time, years at a time, where I gotta stay home. How do I put an end to this, y'all? I really want to know. Money ain't gonna save me from that. It's gonna enable me to make it worse. Much worse. I'm certain of that. Last thing I need is money to fix that. That is going to enable me to be worse. I would like to fix that before I get money. But then again, I need money to fix that, do I not? See how weird that gets? It's weird. The whole thing is weird. Poverty is weird. Don't allow yourself to get to this point if you're in it. Please find constructive ways to rise above it. But do not think it's harmless throwing your life away, because you are worth a lot. That's what I say to people who are thinking about what they got to think about when they're starving. It gets easy to watch everybody throwing their lives away and people passing away left and right. It's just, life is frivolous when you're down here, right? Everybody, you're down there. And I think that's hard for people in the middle class and upper class who've never been down there to really understand how frivolous life is for these people who live in situations where life is live, fight or flight. It's easy to die for a lot of people down these levels, and it's like, you got to understand, that's why they see you in your circumstances, and they don't have much respect for your life, because their lives, it's not a whole lot of life. They're holding on to a whole lot of something, and a lot of the norms that we have and the things that we must have in our lives, these things like manners and smelling good, these things are to uphold a long-lasting, good, comfortable life. People who don't have nothing, or everybody around them keeps passing out and going to drugs and all, why are they upholding that for you? Why are they upholding that for you? It's a movie called Demolition Man that always plays back in my heart, in my head rather, because I see the people coming out of the ground attacking these guys as they're in their restaurant, and they're looking for food, and they're trying to uphold their laws, but in doing so, they have rendered these people lawless because they want to live outside of their norms to eat whatever they want to eat and live the way they want to live. So they bankrupt these people and send them underground. It's like, yo, what's keeping them from attacking you and taking your food? You're just sitting there with your high-end, agreements and your sadiddy ways, and it's like, there's nothing keeping those people from taking what you have, but your defense is from them doing so. Because you're not being compassionate to even treat them like human beings, because they can't live or think like you. It's wrong when we do it. It's wrong, obviously, in the movies. And I think it's relevant to what we're talking about. So I just feel like bringing that thought to the table as I speak. Try to hold myself accountable first for whatever way I may betray that. But then to look around and see my current situation and fathom others who are going through it, as I've been saying a million times, and to really bring that to the table in this conversation and content, man. I ain't going through this for nothing. We got the topic here, mental health and homelessness. It's on the table. And then I didn't coerce myself into this space so that I could have something to talk about. As corny as that may appear to be, I promise you guys, I'm tripping. It ain't that. I'm literally just going through what it is that I always go through in my mind as I try to cope with it. And so this is why I'm going through what I'm going through. And plus, I was really prayerful. God literally told me to do this. And if it wasn't God, it was that spirit in my heart that's always told me every good thing that I've ever believed and every encouraging thing that ever motioned me to do anything good. Same voice. Can't shake that, man. I feel like it betrayed me, low-key. I really do. But it coerced me into doing all the things I did, so I have to live with it. But nevertheless, it's tough going through it. But that's because I can't see what's coming next. And that's the beauty of having lived long enough to see God's blessings. Every bad thing I ever went through, I got through it, and then a good day came, no matter how bad it got, especially right now. You feel me? Especially right now. And that's how you have to approach them. So you got to approach all these situations. You be like, I got through all them things, man, and this one wasn't no different. So let's approach all the tough little spots that it provides me so it can give me the memory of how I overcame it, and then pray, anxiety. God gives me what I get. And we move forward into the next half of what it is we're doing. Because sometimes it's good news we receive. Sometimes we have to go ahead and take something else that opens up a whole lot of other doors for us to adapt to and live with and provide new understandings of blessings will come that way too. I promise you they do. But you just got to live this way now. You dig? But that ain't what it always is. So we just prepare ourselves for whatever because we're in the foresight stage. We don't have that. We can't see. It ain't, we don't know what's coming next yet. But those who see the story that we've told or whatever it is that happened, the history, they saw the steps that we took and overcame or whatever came of us. But how we behaved leading up to whatever's next, I promise you will tell the story for real. Were you honorable? Were you coward? Did you respond well? Did you think of others? Did you think of yourself? Did you stand on the right thing? What was it? Because that's all you can control, and that's going to be a big part of the story. Maybe even the outcome too. You might be able to lean the outcome into a favorable position for you so the history can be nice to you if you just behave in the right energy leading up to whatever the two would be for you. I believe this, I do, it's true. We welcome what we welcome with the energy we welcome, man. So I promise you life, wealth for you and I. Unselfishness for me, a breakdown from anxiety. These are things we speak of because we want it. Success, the spreading of good words, not self-exhaustion. BDF is cool, I like that, but we're not here for me, we're here for us. And that sounds corny because so many people who said that were thinking about themselves. But for real, it's about the numbers, man. Building the progression of something so that we can show our kids they can build. And when we go home to where good things come from, we leave them with the ability to survive off the good understanding that building is possible. They can shake each other's hand instead of doing whatever negative whatever. Don't you want that for your kids? When you look at them, you see them smiling. Don't you want them to live long so that they can see their kids smiling, so that they can live long, so that they can keep their kids smiling? We want this for our children. I hope if we can see the fullness of what our scope should be in regards to their lives, we should want for them more than we want for our lives. My mom wanted more for me. That's how it has to be, I believe, if done right. But I don't have any kids, so I ain't got no foresight as to what I should do or how to do or if I should be a father, because even in the same video I told you that I probably shouldn't be. But then I listen to me when I say this and I'm like, I have so much to share, my seed. I have so much to share with them. And maybe they don't have anxiety. Maybe it passes to their children. But nevertheless, we can help each other overcome it because I'm learning something right now about how to stomach it. It starts with being compassionate, prayerful, and careful to know that you're talented on the other end of that anxiety. So use that. I think I'll leave y'all with that, man. I think I got it all out. Hopefully the Lord will allow me to be more productive from here, but I still got a long way to go. But I suppose that's the beauty of it all. I'm very much a person that I think is working on being a better guy from here. And we got a long way to go. I'm on the right track, I think. I don't think I'm not ready to work on me as it pertains to taking the steps that I can to address my anxiety. And I trust that my talent is the other side of that. And I'm going to keep the balance in regards to that. And every time I create, I'll dedicate all of it to the Lord and to everybody who suffers anxiety like me. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.